Welcome everyone to the DC Beer Show. We are at DC Beer across social media. Mike Stein, what's in your Stein tonight?
Well, hey Jake, I'm enjoying a Dovetail Helles open fermented, lagered forever. Lovely beer out of Chicago, and we're getting kegs, so they're getting draft at the Arlington Brew Shop. And I was trying to work through the Dovetail Helles to get them to flip that keg to put on Dovetail Pills. So I'm very excited about that prospect. Jordan, my man, what are you having this fine evening?
You know, the universe is nature is healing. Everything is back in balance. I'm having a Kindness Kills New England IPA with some notes of pineapple and orange. So very, very citrusy for the heat that we've been having this week. From RAK Brewing, a random acts of kindness up in Frederick, Maryland. You guys will hear a bit more from them later. But Jake, what's in the glass, sir?
So Mike's got open fermentation. You've got closed fermentation. And I've got very closed fermentation because I have here Facta 12. It's a Flemish red, aged for 12 months, hence the 12 in casks. It's only like 5.5%, so it's a little sweet, it's a little sour. You get those cherries, you get those dark fruits. It's really well put together. Go get you some at definitely Downtown Crown. I'm a fan. All right, I want to kick this off with at least one upcoming event before people lose interest. Tomorrow, Union Market, Dock 5, that's kind of like in the back behind, Drafts and Crafts, with parentheses D for draft, parentheses C for craft, because it's DC, and it's the DC Brewers Guild and also the DC Makers Guild. So it's like 20 plus breweries, distilleries, cideries, meaderies, what have you. And then also 40 plus craft vendors. Should be a good time. Come see Brandy. Come see I. We'll be there. It'll be fun. And you might actually see one of DC's newest breweries in planning henceforth. That's going to be over on H Street. They're going to be there. They may have something for you to sample in advance of them taking over the old H Street Country Club spot. All right. What else is on people's radars?
Well, I got a couple things. If you know, it's not the heaviest month, right? It's July. It's hot as all get out outside right now. But City have a number of live events, so definitely check the City State social media and everything from some comedy shows, some loud music. For those that like food, there's an Allagash beer dinner at Lion Hall. It'll be 4 courses, 5 beers. That's Tuesday, July 16th. There is a fee associated with it, but I think the awesome chefs and the people who put the menu together will definitely make it your while, and you'll definitely get the bang for your buck. In terms of DC beer events, we have 2 in 1 week. On Sunday, July 21st, we will be at Right Topper for our beer share members only. You can learn more on our Patreon. Please subscribe to the Patreon. You can not only support us, but you can support us as we support others. It's a mutually beneficial situation there. And then that Wednesday, the 25th, you can find yours truly at Other Half for the DC Beer Capital Trivia link up at Other Half. So come out for some trivia. We appreciate the support and look forward to seeing you guys. Anyone else tracking anything come this month or next month? And also happy belated to our Queen of Beer, Brandy. If you didn't wish her a happy birthday, definitely show her some love. I'm sure she would appreciate it. She couldn't be with us tonight, so definitely show Brandy some love.
We miss you, B. All right. The day before the beer show on the 21st, the 20th, Hellbender's Boiler installed, up and running, making beer. They're going to throw a party about it to thank everybody. This will include like all day happy hour. So things like some good deals on, usually what I drink there is Bare Bones Kolsch. They do pitchers, one of the few breweries in DC that will actually just give you a pitcher of Kolsch, which is great. They're going to have a couple new releases there as well. Obviously, food trucks. You should watch their socials. We'll put it up at dcbeer.com/events as well. One more thing about food is that Birch and Barley is about to be no more, taking a break and rebranding as this new American Southern style restaurant called Mallard. And you can check out some of what is coming at Mallard upstairs at Church Key before Mallard opens. So sort of like a, try. Have a little bit of Mallard before you commit to dining downstairs. Don't worry, everybody. The beer is still there.
Yeah, I want to clarify, Jake. You said if you go to Hellbender and you do as you do, Jake, which is order Kolsch, they'll give you a pitcher. Now, you should pay for the pitcher.
Yeah, and this is not a steal the pint night. You shouldn't walk out with a plastic pitcher either.
Ain't nothing in this world for free.
Right.
That being said, I was talking to a brewer, a good friend, who was at Hellbender for the Save Hellbender party at the Moon Tower, Save the Boiler and the Brewery. And he was making a joke like, oh yeah, like I love this beer, this is so good, let me pay you for this pale ale that I'm getting. And of course they were like, no, you're our favorite brewer's favorite brewer. And he was like, no, I need to pay you for this so you can get a new boiler. And now the new boiler has arrived. We're super excited for Saturday, July 20th, 1 to 9 p.m. Free entry at Hellbender. A day of music and beer. So they're going to have food trucks, they're going to have live music, and there will be a beer release. So I just wanted to plug that again. That being said, I also want to plug everybody that's just doing wonderful stuff the best they can. I was at Blue Jacket on Thursday. Impeccable casks there. I know that Monday through Friday, Ro Gunzel, head brewer at Blue Jacket, is checking the cask. He is literally tasting beer at, 9:30, 10 a.m. to make sure when they open daily at 11 a.m., the beer is of top-notch quality. I know that Dave Delaplane, longtime manager at Roofers Union in Adams Morgan, is checking the casks on Saturday and Sunday. When I was there on a Thursday, he was making sure that the casks were top-notch. And I had a couple friends from London in. So they're true experts, right? Every corner pub in London has a cask. Actually, I haven't been to London, so I can't say every corner pub. I've been told. It's been about a decade since I last tried to hit every corner pub in London. But we are serving delicious cask at Blue Jacket. It's on par with the stuff across the pond in London. And the same goes for all of our local breweries that are doing the best they can. So I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody doing the best they can, making the best beer possible in the District of Columbia.
Well, that has kind of started a new goal that I'd like to set for us both. Like maybe we just need to do some market research in London, okay? So maybe we need to just book some flights and figure it out and just go taste the beer for research purposes.
This is the junket we've been talking about.
Yeah, I've volunteered as tribute to help row out at 9:30 or 10 in the morning to do a little quality control, quality assurance on these casks. I have been to London. It is a delight to walk into a pub and see like a 3.8% Green King IPA on and be like, oh, well, I guess this is what a session is when you sit there and just crush a bunch of sub 4% delicious living real ale, flavorful beer. I would also like to go back, drink so much I can stop minding the gap and, other various British things. All right,
Yeah.
we're skirting around one big event at the moment, and that's Snallygaster, which again is counter programming against Great American Beer Festival.
Yes.
So GABF in Denver released their beer list, and it's something like 40% of the breweries there are either from Colorado or California. Snally is actually going to have maybe like a little bit more diversity, variety, more states, international.
This is a yes and, Jake. Yes, Great American Beer Festival, arguably the greatest beer festival in America. However, you can't take WMATA, the Washington Metropolitan Authority Transit Association there, the way you can just hop off at Archives, Navy Memorial, and just walk a couple blocks to Snallygaster. Right. Yes, Great American Beer Festival, wonderful beer. People have been doing it for literally decades. Absolutely, undeniably, one of the best. However, are they going to have beer from Berlin? Are they going to have beer from Munich? Are there going to be some Brussels, a Belgian Lambic, some Oud Goose, some Krieken beer, some Framboise?
Right.
I'll just leave it. I'll leave it as a yes and.
Well, yes, I will be there, and I will be having all the great beers, as many as possible, as safely possible to consume before I head on the metro and will model my way back to my home. So
That's right.
100%.
Shout out to the Bus Drivers Union, to all the unions propping up WMATA. We stand organized labor. We love to hear it. Reverend Barber was in DC last weekend, 2 weekends ago, and we were saying he had called up some of the bus drivers union. So shout out to everybody driving a bus around the DC Metro. We love y'all.
Yes, and we do love y'all. Thank you all for your service, and also thank you, Jake, for your service of volunteering as tribute. But I would just like to propose an idea that, what could make the bus line just a smidge better was maybe if they would take us up to Frederick to visit all the wonderful breweries in Frederick, but specifically the new kid on the block. There's this brewery called RAK, Random Acts of Kindness, and I'm here with two wonderful gentlemen with me. I have Steve McIntyre and Branden Roth. Welcome to the show, folks. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for having us.
Doing well. So, I've had the luxury of making it up to Frederick, Maryland to check out RAK Brewing. But for those that haven't, Steve, why don't you tell us about who you guys are and what your craft beer story looks like?
Yeah, thanks. We originally started RAK kind of with a bit of a different start than we had anticipated. We were hoping for some event space, and a brewery happened to become available. And I love beer, and it worked out pretty well. We obviously didn't know much about beer, so we were very excited to get started and a little bit nervous as well, not knowing how to brew, knowing a lot about beer, but not knowing how to brew. The story kind of it started off slow, and we found the right people to be in the right positions. Started with general manager, who's very wonderful, Nancy, came from quite a few other breweries, and then we met Branden, and Branden came from Flying Dog and Sapwood, and we were really excited to get started with him. And I think that his vision really is passionate about some of the things that we were really interested in, where we were thinking about what does the brewery look like, and we wanted to push the envelope with kind of what beer is around Frederick. As you know, there's 8 or 9 other breweries around, so there's a lot to compete with, and we wanted to just change the envelope. And you're familiar with the ambiance is very different from most breweries out there. It's a little bit more swanky and a little more upscale. It looks a lot more like a cocktail lounge than anything. So we're really excited to see where it goes and what it offers the community. And, we're very excited to be a part of a really cool beer community, and not only just Frederick, but Maryland as a whole.
Branden, I heard you got your start with Flying Dog and Sapwood. Would you like to speak to that? Just, were you, brewing at both? Were you just kind of helping out, masthead brewer? Like, how did that look for you at those 2 locations?
So Flying Dog is pretty much where I got my start. I started off there as a cellar tech, doing the nitty gritty. You get about 1 year in and you're like, man, if I don't love beer, why am I here? Because this is basically a manual labor job. But I worked my way up, there, and, did filtration, did brewing, pretty much was, well-rounded there, but kind of saw the writing on the wall for Flying Dog as to where they were headed. So, eventually kind of got out of there, and I was more just interested in the place that was concerned with making the best product they possibly could, from being at both ends of the spectrum, having like the big beer kind of place and the small beer kind of place. For me, it was kind of just more refreshing to be at a place that was really concentrated on making sure every drop of beer that came out of that place was the best they could possibly produce. Coming from mid-tier brewery, it's a little bit different. You got to worry about cost constraints and all that type of stuff. So it's a different environment, but I feel like both kind of gave me a good experience on both ends of the spectrum to kind of make me realize a little bit more what I really wanted.
I would agree with you. I think Flying Dog, I mean, they did some good stuff. I'm not here to bash anybody. But like Sapwood, they definitely do new stuff every week or every other week. So definitely more, experimental versus probably kind of being maybe boxed in is the right way to phrase it for Flying Dog, where there's like a set tap list or just set production schedule, I should say, of that. So I definitely could understand that. But so RAK Brewing is the name of the brewing, but it's RAK is an acronym, Random Acts of Kindness, as I understand it. See if you could tell us about the name. Like, what was the vision behind the name, or how did that name come about?
RAK stands for Random Acts of Kindness. We're all the partners in this brewery are also owners of a real estate team. a lot of the work that we like to do out for the community is part of our nonprofit TGP Gives. And when we were coming up with names, we originally thought of RAK, to kind of coincide with what our current branding is. Shied away from it, hired a marketing company. They put a ton of names in front of us. And as you can imagine, with 9,000 breweries in the country, but also all the additional names that have been taken for breweries that aren't in production or, have never really come to fruition, it was pretty tough to come up with something. And so we just thought about, who we are as people and, what we're trying to do with inspiration of the community. And, we love Frederick so much. We spend a lot of time here. We patron everything that's around us. And so, we wanted to basically continue on with what we're doing traditionally with our other businesses. It just felt like it was going to mesh well. And so we pulled back to RAK, and then we looked at some logos and some designs. And really our big first fear is just RAR Brewery. It just looks so consistent with what that emblem and logo looks like. And the more that we talked about it, we just couldn't get away from it at that point. We were kind of engrossed in it and loved what it was about, and felt like that it had meaning that, a lot of other stuff doesn't have out there. So we settled on it. And, now that we're 6 months in, we're really happy that we made that decision. And a lot of people in the community have embraced it. So it's worked out pretty well.
I guess, with a name like RAK or Random Acts of Kindness, have you guys taken extra strides to, make the tap room more, more homey, more warm and comfortable? It's definitely a beautiful tap room. I mean, it's like, I would go as far to say, and I've been to a lot of breweries, no offense to people out there, but it's probably one of the nicest tap rooms I've ever seen, just in terms of the lighting, the comfortable chairs. It's just the open concept is just very nice. But do you guys have you guys taken any extra strides to make it feel more of a like a community place or more home for your patrons?
I would say not necessarily directly to the tap room. When we started with the whole project, we really wanted something that felt more comfortable. You go into most breweries and it's concrete floors and wooden furniture and metal ceilings, and it's loud and everything's dragging across the ground. It's just not a very comfortable place to have a conversation. And so when we started building out the tap room, everything in mind came with, we've already got sound deadening ceiling. We wanted something plush, so to speak, leather to be able to deaden some of that sound, wood on the walls to be able to help absorb some of it. I mean, we really thought of it as like a place to do date night, or sit down and have a conversation with an old friend, just catch up, where you didn't feel like you were being interrupted by the person sitting next to you. As far as what we've done with RAK and Random Acts of Kindness, we've done a lot of charity stuff. In Frederick, every year the United Way campaign for Frederick County hosts a big event, and so we have spent about 2.5 weeks fundraising for them, and we host at least one nonprofit or charity each month. And obviously we want to be able to do more as soon as we can.
Just acknowledging some of how you guys have revamped the place. Rest in peace and shout out to I believe it was House Cat and Smoketown. Now, did you guys have to perform any rituals or seances for the former breweries before you guys opened, or was it pretty smooth? Outside of gutting the building, was it a pretty smooth transition?
Most of the work was done back on Branden's end. It was same thing. We don't want to talk about it. It's just, we have expectations of certain things in how we wanted things to be done. And so front of house was just a lot of work with patching holes and stuff that wasn't seen in it. I very much think that fit their business model. The type of person that was coming in may not be worried about that. But of course, with the plans that we had for the tap room, there were just a lot of things that we had to shore up, so to speak, to really fit the entire vibe. Branden's very strict with his, how he brews, and I'll let him talk a little bit more about this, but he's very specific about how he brews, where things are placed, what cleanliness and all those types of things. And when you start, with a blank canvas, it's easy, but when you start with a lot of stuff from someone else, it makes it tough. It's a lot of organization and, cleaning and some of those other things that go into it.
Yeah. What do you think has been your biggest challenge in terms of getting RAK where it is, or just getting RAK open to begin with?
I think that's kind of a twofold question. I'll let Branden talk about the beer piece of it, because obviously that's a huge component. From the business end, we are right there next to 3 other breweries that have been along for a long time. We love where we're at. We love having that competition. We also like the fact that people can make their way around, but standing out, especially in Frederick, where there are 9 other breweries right there in the downtown area, it's certainly a challenge to make a name with longstanding. Everybody's been there since 2018 and before. So we're kind of the new kid on the block, and we have to earn the respect, and we have to make good neighbors. And from a business standpoint, I think we came in at an interesting time with people are trying to be healthier, trying to save a little bit. They spent the 2-3 years out of COVID, like kind of just in a tornado, so to speak. And I think people are trying to get back to normal life and really, really appreciate some of the things that they had missed for so many years. And so, as far as gaining a name, it's not like it was in 2021 where all you could do is sit outside at a brewery and drink beer for a cheap afternoon. It was like that was kind of your only out. And now that people are finding, travel is a big thing this year, and I think people are definitely trying to be a little bit healthier in their lifestyle. So, getting recognition and getting people in the tap room has certainly been something that we hope would go a little bit better. But we're obviously really grateful for everybody that's come through as well.
So Branden, I hear you may have had to kind of revamp the brew house just to kind of fit where you guys are today. Could you tell us about that? Just kind of what that looked like, what your vision for the beer is, and then we'll get into some of the other questions about styles and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was just kind of coming from my background with Sapwood and from Flying Dog. I had different things that you want to see done. Flying Dog, I feel like the cleanliness and the sanitary process is kind of what they knock into your head. So I kind of brought that along. As with Sapwood, it's kind of the originality and the creativity and trying to create something new. So I think it's both of those, but it's really just trying to mold something in that someone else's vision into what you want your vision to be, which can be tough at times because there's other equipment out there that you would like to have that costs a lot of money, and there may be some constraints with what you're dealing with. But I think thus far we've done a really good job of working with what we've been given and upgrading some things here and there, to make our ability to create world-class beer better. And we're still working towards that. It's never an overnight thing. And we're always improving, and I think that's the number one thing from my aspect is I just want to always be getting better. It's like I see where our untapped scores were initially, and we're slowly raising those up, and that's what I want to continue happen because developing anything along the lines of like a Sapwood or anything in that realm, it takes time. It doesn't just happen overnight. It takes some building, and that's what we're doing right now. So
since we're finally talking about the beer, most listeners know I'm a hazy guy. It's not all I drink, it's just what I like to drink. So what style of beer do you guys like? Steve, Branden, do you have a preferred style? Are you a Pilsner lager kind of guy? Sours? What do you prefer when you're not training for your marathon?
I like all beer when I'm training for my marathon. It makes me feel less bad about myself. I tend to like IPAs. I went through a bout with sour for quite some time. I just thought they were unique. Actually, Flying Dog's Berliner Weiss was kind of my first introduction to sour beers, and I went through a little phase with that. I just like the bitterness of the beer. But I would say that I tend to fall in the category of 5 to 7% hazy IPAs. Prefer a little bit more juicy than not, but I'll drink most stuff. I really loved our Pateki Pills. When Branden first made it, I told him, I don't like Pilsner, I'm not going to drink it. And then I had it. It was fantastic. So I found myself going to that more often than not. But yeah, I'm pretty open to a lot of things. I think there's a lot of great beer out there. And even if you don't like you don't particularly like the style, you can still respect the craft and how much work has gone into it as well. So
basically I have a category of what I feel like we make the best. I feel like the beers that we make the best are hazy, IPAs, and sour beers. My particular favorite beers are usually lighter beers and mixed fermentation beers. Honestly, with sours and mixed fermentation beers and hoppy beers, that's where I feel like I have the most knowledge. So that's kind of where we're leaning towards right now. In this industry, for me, it's like you got to constantly be learning. So we're working on stepping up our light beer repertoire. We just did a collab last week with the former head brewer of Land Made on a light beer. It's a totally foraged lager. Malt is from Bear Branch in Westminster. We foraged Spice Bush that went in the Whirlpool, give it a little bit of a citrusy kick. And then we also got hops from Heritage Hills and Urbana, so entirely produced within Maryland. And it gives us a good learning experience to kind of learn a little bit more how to make a nuanced light beer that has some depth into it, because that's one thing I feel like maybe in my repertoire I don't know as well. I'm coming from Sapwood, hoppy beers and mixed fermentation beers was, our wheelhouse, and that's what I feel like I have the best knowledge in. But
Yeah.
if you're not expanding in this realm, you're falling behind. So we're always trying to expand our knowledge and try something new. And, that's kind of what this beer was for me personally.
And I can attest to the fact that the hazies are really good. This Kindness Kills has been my my special lady friend for this evening. So yeah, I've been enjoying it. I really appreciate it. I plan to get back up to Frederick some more cans of that. Are there any other upcoming collabs or events you guys would like to leave with our listeners before we get up out of here for tonight?
Yeah, so we had the one collab that I told you about already with Matt Furta, who's a local brewer, not at Landmade anymore, but former head brewer at Landmade. So we have that forage lager coming out. We also have another collab coming up with Rough Edges, which is a brewery up in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. That is going to be a sour beer, and it's going to be basically every local berry you haven't heard of. It's going to be mulberry, black raspberry, marionberry, boysenberry, wineberry, and honeyberry. And then he's going to come down here, and we're going to do another end of the collab where it's going to be a West Coast IPA, but with New Zealand hops. So it's going to be a Motueka Southern Crossed West Coast IPA. Other than that, we've got Puckerpalooza coming up mid-August. It's August 17th, and we're releasing 12 different sours on the same day. We've got a couple, nuanced traditional sours for regular people. We've got some kettle sours, and we've got some smoothie sours. So we're going to have 4 of those that are be canned and in big production, and 8 of those, which will be 1 keg off just for that day. But we'll have 12 different sours on for just that event. So if you like sours, come out August 17th.
I know a few folks, especially with the heat, where we're looking for some sours. So us at DC Beer will be sure to get the word out. But with Steve, Branden, thank you guys so much for coming on the DC Beer podcast show. We definitely hope to have you guys again in the future. We're happy to support and work with you guys. Well, thank you guys for the time, and thanks for coming on the show. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much to the good folks at RAK. Obviously, if you are taking a stroll on the lovely Carroll Creek, you should stop and check them out. And thank you, Jordan, for letting the folks know. There are MARC trains that do go there, but I know that we have some of the 1% of the 1% who also listen to this show. And so if you're going to try and do Snally and then get on a private jet, say out Prince William County Airport and fly to GABF straight after that, you should let us know, editor at dcbeer.com. We definitely want to hear from you if that is how you are traveling.
Yeah, let us know, should your private jet be taking off from Anne Arundel County, any other undisclosed location?
And also let us know if we can borrow a set jet to do some market research in London, because we would appreciate it.
All right, folks. I feel like that's what we've got for this week. It's really hot out, and as Jordan mentioned, it's July. I want to give a big shout out to the folks who are still putting on the events. Neighborhood Restaurant Group is holding it down. Do check out some of their events. They've got Suarez coming up over at Shelter, a couple other events. Again, it's dcbeer.com/events. If you've got beer events, we want to hear about them too. And if you're at the beach, whether it's Jersey, Delaware, Virginia Beach, where Aslan just opened up another location, we want to hear about those as well. We're at DC Beer across social media. Stay cool, everybody. Blast the AC. Fingers crossed for a little bit of rain, but not rain on Saturday and Sunday, right? It can happen on Tuesdays or whatever. That's great.
Don't forget that water, folks. If you're having a beer, have a liter of water. If you're having 0 beer, have a liter of water. Stay hydrated. We'll see you around town.
Cheers.